What's going on, everyone? So today we're talking about tree manipulation. And what do you mean by tree manipulation, you ask? I'm talking about turning what would normally be a boring structure and turning it into something that's living. I mean, just look at these really cool things that you can do with tree manipulation. So gone are the days of boring gazebos, pergolas, archways. Why not turn them into like really cool living structures? And depending on which tree variety you get, you can have flowers, you can have fragrance, you can have evergreen, you can have deciduous. Like there's so many options you can do. There are so many cool things that you can do with trees besides their just normal growth habit. So today I'm going to show you how to take what is now this boring metal arbor over this bench here and turning it into a living arbor.
If you're new to the channel, please like these videos and consider subscribing to our channel. And don't forget to click that notification button to get notified of new videos we post. Also, head on over to our main website at malibumoments.com to check out our online store of favorite items we use in the garden. Product links are available if you'd like to pick one up for yourself. All your support is greatly appreciated.
So I'm standing over here in our kitchen garden with our pups. This is Maverick, this is Romy. I'm basically going to transform this arbor into a living structure. So in this area, this is where we're gonna have some of that foundation work done. So we haven't really touched much right here, but we have the lemon tree here, the lime tree, and then we have a mandarin here. But otherwise we have a lot of herbs and everything on the side. We're gonna keep that side a little empty until we have the construction done. But this is a little bench that we had when we moved in, and we thought it'd be really cute to put it under a little arbor here. So the variety of vine that we put here though is really struggling. It is a variety of honeysuckle, and the issue with this honeysuckle is you can see here that it has like crazy spider mites during the summertime. And spider mites love hot and dry. And this is a south-facing wall here. And of course, dark colors are awesome for radiating heat. So this honeysuckle is just getting blasted with heat. And we live in Southern California, so it's always dry. So we are gonna take both of these honeysuckles out, relocate them, and this is where we're doing our project. So what an amazing little spot, right? Like all we want is to be able to relax right here, also give this wall some shade. So we're gonna do this honeysuckle justice, find it a new home, and we're gonna put something here that actually loves sun and heat, and that'll actually stool out and just be a really cool living structure. So these are the specimens we have. They are Podocarpus graciliers, or fern pines. And I'll put some of their growing habits up here, but they should do really well. They're drought tolerant, but what I really love about them is we've got Australian willows on our property, and these are really similar to that. They've got the fine texture, but when they grow up, they kind of have this like soft, like, I don't know, they just give like a very ethereal feel to me. So I think those are gonna look awesome over there, right there. So it's not gonna be as sparse as this, which I'm really looking forward to. I want something that really is kind of heavy right there because of the side of the house. I'm thinking about doing some kind of structure on the side of the wall, but I think something right here that's really heavy would really anchor this part of the house. And then once they're done with all this, I'm probably gonna do a hedge or something like that to kind of, you know, just be a foundation planting. So first, I planted these about a year ago, year and a half ago. So whenever you're transplanting something that's put on a lot of growth, you want to take that growth down pretty much as far as you can go. I'm going to take it down probably a foot off the ground. When I dig it up, it's going to really stress those roots. And so you want to basically give the plant a break by taking off a lot of that foliage so that it can really put a lot of that energy back into reestablishing its roots. And then when the temperature starts warming up in the springtime, it'll have enough roots to support more growth. Because when you transplant a plant like this that has put out its roots, those usually correlate with the size of the canopy. So if we're gonna be messing with the roots and we go and transplant it, it's already gonna be in shock because we're manipulating the roots. So we want to de-stress the plant by bringing that canopy down. If we were to directly move it over there, it could die. So let's get at it. All right, so the hard part's done. They're in the ground, they're watered in. Now comes the fun part. Okay, so I have just your basic gardening tape. It's this flexible stuff that you see a lot of the times on the trees that you buy. This one right here, I don't know if you can see, there's these, they used metal twine, which isn't always the best because this has no give. So you want to take these off as fast as you can. But these are smaller versions of this, and it basically is just an expandable tape that holds your tree or whatever plant to its structure to keep it sturdy during transport, or in this case, trees, they want them to grow upright. In this case, they're using the tape to basically keep the tree straight with the use of this piece of bamboo. So since we are doing our own training, we're gonna take that out. So let's just undo all these metal twist ties. Don't need these anymore. If you don't take these twist ties off, the tree will get so big that it'll grow through this, and that's not good for the vasculature of the plant. And then we're going to remove this piece of bamboo because our new support is this metal arbor. Sometimes these are pretty in there. You can just take some soil and kind of fill that hole that you just made. All right, so this tree is now free of any supports, but we're going to change that. So as you can see, when I planted the tree, it had that bamboo stake, so it was nice and straight for the most part. Now basically we're going to use this new metal arch as our support. And as this thing grows, as trees grow, the very top of them are very flexible. And this is what we're going to utilize to start bending it how we want it. So for this, I'm basically going to train it just like the metal arches. And then on the top, I'm probably going to let it get a little furry, kind of maybe even make it like a little peak. So this is kind of a cute little house looking structure. But this is going to be our support for the next few years or so. So we're going to take this tape and we're going to start fastening it to the metal. So some of the parts, like the very bottom down here, are pretty far away. So we're going to leave that alone. But as it gets toward this part up here, we're going to start fastening it. And it depends what you want. I'm going to try and keep this as straight as possible and then arch it as soon as it hits the top up here. So I like the bottom here, but as it goes up, it's going the wrong direction. So I want the tree to basically follow the path of the arch. So the fun thing is this is basically art. You can shape it to however you want. So since this is not very big, I'm really only going to probably do 2 fastenings, because you can see up here, I'm only going to be arching this like that. So I'm just going to take some of this tape, and I can only fasten it here because there's no other points to fasten it. So as this grows, then we'll fasten it to this one, and then this is the actual center. So we'll stop with this tree, and then on this side, we're going to come up and over to the same spot, and then I'll probably just let it get bushy. So I'm just going to kind of maneuver this and then tie it right here. And I'm going to keep it pretty much centered on here. And then I can use this arbor to kind of hedge it. And it's not an exact science, it's an art for sure. And then I'll just see how it starts to look. I really like this fine texture, so I'm going to try and keep as much of that as I can. But as it gets bigger, I'd like it to come, I don't want it, because these windows open. So this is going to give great shade. This is our guest bedroom. It's going to give great shade to that because this wall gets hot and the inside of the house gets pretty hot. So this is also a really good idea if you're trying to create shade. So I don't know if you can see, but the top is good for now. As this starts getting taller, I'm gonna start bending it more and more. But here I can already see an issue that I don't like, and you wanna correct this sooner rather than later. So this, to me, I can see, I want it to kind of go back a little bit like that. So it's not a huge correction, but it's one that if you see it now, I want it just a little bit like that, a little more straight. So I'm gonna use a piece of tape to kind of pull it back a little bit. A little more. Perfect. And that's it. It's pretty simple. So what's nice about this is that it's kind of fun. You can just come out every week or so and kind of see the new growth and how you like it. If you want to start training it a little differently, you can. It's kind of like bonsai in a way. But yeah, any kind of topiary or anything that you're pruning like this to manipulate is really fun, actually. So I'm actually thinking about doing this. Well, actually, we are doing this down the steps to our circle garden. I planted a bunch of fruit trees, and I'm going to try and start training them to kind of make a living tunnel. So you can see that I actually really like this concept. So, and actually, right here behind you guys, let me show you. This is kind of our little trio citrus area. I do want to limb these up and then create kind of like a living pergola, I guess. But I'm going to keep them somewhat short because we want to harvest them. We don't want them to get too crazy. Plus, they're right next to the house. But I kind of just want to keep them really tall, like basically umbrellas over here. So that we can maybe put like a little patio set or something out here. But yeah, we definitely need shade over here. So that's why these trees were a must. All right, so I'm just gonna basically cut the tapes off this one, pull the bamboo stake out, and then this one is a little bit shorter, as you can see. So there's not really a lot that I have to tape and fasten to the arbor yet, but I am gonna pull the main stem, kind of like I did right here, up against so it's nice and taut. And I think there's a slight lean, so I wanna correct that also as soon as possible. So this one already has kind of a arch going already. So I do like that, but as it gets taller, it's leaning. I want to manipulate it just a little bit more. So it's kind of already turning like this. I want it to kind of go up and then over. So I'm going to pull this part back. Yeah. So as this grows up and through this part, just like the other one, then I will start bending it. That way they're symmetrical. And as far as the tape goes, you want to keep those on just until the tree starts to form whatever shape you want. You don't want to keep those on indefinitely. especially on these tighter ones, because as this gets bigger and thicker, this is not going to be as flexible, and it's actually going to start choking it. So you do want to cut these off as soon as this starts holding its shape. So I'll probably cut these off next year or so, after this has become rigid. So that's it. They're in the ground, they're all tethered up, and now it's just a daily, weekly, annual thing about clipping these and just making them whatever form that I want. And I'm gonna keep this form, but I'm probably gonna let them get a little bushy, probably to the height of the windows. But it's an art. Like, this is just kind of an evolving thing, and that's what's awesome about these living structures, is you can just form them into whatever you want and kind of just let them evolve. So I encourage you to try this project. Pick a tree that speaks to you and create your own living structure. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you later.